In today's video, I'm going to walk you through the top mistakes that I see parents and teachers make when teaching young children to read. My name is Moran and I'm a multilingual speech and language therapist. I work with hundreds of bilingual children on language and reading skills. My mission is to empower parents like you and teachers to make sure that children develop strong reading skills from an early age. I work with children from age 2 and up, and I see this mistake all the time. Parents are teaching their toddlers educational skills such as letters, numbers, colors, and shape when their kids are too young. This is not functional. It doesn't help them in life. When your child is learning how to speak between the ages of 12 months and around 3 years old, the best thing you can do for your child is to focus on their language skills and their play skills. Build their vocabulary, nouns, verbs, their grammar, and their pretend play skills. We'll always have time for worksheets and teaching them letters and numbers later. My second mistake is exposing children to educational screen time, educational apps, tablets, and toys designed to teach them how to read. There is no substitute for a child to learn how to read and speak than the direct one-on-one interaction that they have with you as their mother, as their father, or as their teacher. If you want to know how I build language and pre-literacy skills in children, check out my series about language development in children. This applies to children who speak 1, 2, or more languages. I'm going to link it above. This is the most common mistakes I see parents and teachers make when first teaching young children how to read. Too much focus on teaching the ABC song and teaching letter names. Your child does not need to know A, B, C, D in order to read. In fact, it doesn't help them at all. Also, teaching the letter name is not necessary for the purpose of learning how to read and decode. For example, they do not need to know that this is letter A. They need to know that letter A says A. Letter H says H. Letter G says G. For vowels, letter I says I. By learning the letter name, you're actually sometimes confusing children. So my advice is start by teaching the letter sounds. If you want to combine it with both, you can, but don't skip the letter sound. So teach it as letter A says A, letter B says B. Next big mistake I see is that children are being taught how to read in what we call drill and kill, meaning you're holding flashcards and you're just teaching them all the letter sounds, expecting them to understand everything, expecting them to retain and learn new ones. Well, in reality, most children need a whole body approach. So if you notice, I am using flashcards, but my flashcards have visuals. I teach a letter with a story. The story combined with the visual, combined with the gestural and tactile cue helps children learn the sound and retain new sounds. So let me show you an example. Rather than saying A or A, I say this is an apple. And when I'm hungry, I don't want to eat a tiny little bite of the apple. I want a huge bite. So hold your apple and take a big bite with me like this. Ah. So now, instead of just remembering ah by itself, they have a story, they have a picture, they have a tactile and gestural cue. Ah. Much easier for them to remember. And this allows me to teach 2, 3, and even 4 sounds at a time, which leads me to my next mistake. Many parents and teachers don't give kids enough credit, and they teach the letter sounds way too slowly. And part of the reason why they're teaching so slowly is because they're attaching the letter sounds with activities that are very cute, that are very Pinteresty, that look amazing, but that are not functional for the purpose of reading, intervention, and instruction. In many classrooms, I see teachers using a letter or sound of the week approach. So they spend the whole week learning letter A and maybe doing a sensory activity, a coloring activity, an art activity, a cooking activity. Sometimes parents are invited into the classroom in a mystery chef type of activity where they're invited to lead a cooking activity with the sound of the week. So if the sound of the week was letter A or A, they would be doing a cooking activity with applesauce. Or if it was with P, they would be doing something with peanut butter. Children don't need this. It's not functional. It's very cute. It looks amazing on social media and it may be fun, but it isn't necessary for the purpose of reading instruction. I'm not saying that children shouldn't be playing or cooking or exploring art or sensory activities. It's better for them to do these activities outside of reading. So in my classrooms, I'm not teaching one sound, I'm teaching 2 to 4 sounds at a time, and I'm threading them with activities that are functional and meaningful and effective for the purpose of language and reading instruction. I teach the sounds in my circle time. I use the whole body approach that we discussed, and then I integrate these sounds into a reading activity. So if I'm teaching the sounds B and P that week, my book will be Peanut Butter and Cupcake. And so now students are hearing this sound in a story time, and they're also learning valuable vocabulary, grammar, problem solving, and cognitive skills at the same time. So they're getting a lot more bang for their buck. This is much more effective than doing a cooking or coloring activity. The next mistake I see is students that are learning their letter sounds or names in alphabetical order. And this is actually counterproductive. It is not effective. I've seen so many students that literally have a poster of A, B, C, D. And if you ask them, for example, for letter F, I'm like, what letter is this? And I point to the F, and now they have to go back to the beginning and go, okay, this is A, B, C, D, E. This is an F, or this is F. So I teach sounds based on where they're produced in the mouth. The sounds are paired and they're not in an A, B, C order. I start with B and P, B and P, sounds that are produced in the lips. And then I teach K and G, sounds that are produced in the throat. This allows them to remember better and to learn faster. I know I threw a lot of information out today. And maybe it's overwhelming, but don't worry, you got this. Other options is that I can work with your child one-on-one and teach them how to read. Results are guaranteed. And if you want to purchase my online course so that you can teach your child to read at home, contact me in the information below in the comments or description box.